You love me, Chandler Bing.
What if Janice is really Chandler Bing's soulmate?
Oh my God!
Friends treats Janice Littman Goralnik Nehosenstein like a punchline. And the joke is basically that she's annoying.
Every time she starts laughing, I just want to pull my arm off just so I have something to throw at her.
But if you take a quick break from writing Janice off, you might notice that she and Chandler have a strangely enduring bond. For a long time, Chandler tries to quit Janice, but can't.
Can you believe this happened?
No. And yet it did.
Over 10 seasons, these two cross paths so many times that it really seems like fate is throwing them together.
What a small world.
And yet I never run into Beyonce.
Their on-again, off-again, can't-quit-you romance might easily be framed in almost any other show as a great love story.
I wish I knew how to quit you. Why don't you?
So let's look at the evidence to decide whether Janice may actually be Chandler's soulmate.
What we have, it's like movie love. You're my soulmate.
And if she is, does that make Janice the one who got away? Or an argument against whether finding your soulmate really matters at all?
New Year's, who invited who? Valentine's, who asked who into whose bed?
I did, but...
You seek me out. Something deep in your soul calls out to me like a foghorn.
Before we go on, we want to talk a little about this video's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is a superb online learning community with thousands of classes about everything: vlogging, cinematography, even painting with watercolors. Click the link in the description below to get 2 months access to all classes for free.
Let's take a moment to look back at the story of Friends from Janice's perspective. She dates this neurotic guy who keeps breaking up with her.
Look, there's no way for me to tell you this. At least there's no new way for me to tell you this.
But they always get back together.
One of these times, it's just gonna be your last chance with me.
She keeps running into him by chance. They're set up on a blind date. They're at the same nail salon. They go to the same doctor's office for fertility tests. They're considering buying houses right next door to each other. Janice even runs into Chandler's friends in completely unlikely ways. She hooks up with Ross. She complains to the chef at Monica's restaurant. She even shares a hospital room with Rachel when they're giving birth. What are the odds?
I can't believe this.
And yet, somehow, it's true.
This is exactly the kind of coincidence that makes some people believe in romantic fate.
Did you ever think of the number of things that had to happen for me to get to know you?
In so many stories, two people are signaled to be destined to be together through exactly these signs. Bumping into each other over and over, having a tumultuous on and off relationship, and being unable to stop obsessing over their ex.
We're inevitable, Waldorf.
Janice rationalizes Chandler's indecisiveness with the idea that he's not ready to admit he feels the same way, which isn't so crazy considering that he is so stunted when it comes to relationships.
And then I just, threw the bag of barley at her and ran out of the store.
And he does continue to come back time and time again.
You want me. You need me. You can't live without me. And you know it. You just don't know you know it.
Is that so different from all that Carrie puts up with from Mr. Big?
Why is it so hard for you to factor me into your life in any real way?
Whom Sex and the City eventually declares is Carrie's soulmate?
Carrie, you're the one.
Most of us have known that friend, or have been that person who will find any way to justify hot and cold behavior from a partner who's bad news at Janice's age. In season 2, Chandler hits it off with a woman on the internet.
Well, we haven't actually met. We just stayed up all night talking on the internet.
Only to discover that it's Janice.
Oh my God.
This is interesting because it suggests that intellectually, Chandler and Janice are really well matched. More fodder for the argument that they're soulmates.
I like this girl, okay? I seriously like this girl.
And after their online reunion, Chandler does fall in love with her.
This is Janice.
Yeah, I know. She makes me happy.
This time, Chandler is completely committed, and he's crazy in love like we've never seen him before.
See, the drawer actually goes in my dresser.
Oh, you didn't have to do this.
But by this point, Janice is married with a kid. So looking again at Janice's perspective, this woman faces an agonizing choice.
The way I feel about you, it's like I finally understand what Lionel Richie's been singing about.
This guy she's always carried a torch for is finally ready to devote himself to her.
Then don't leave me.
But he's figured this out a little too late, and she feels she has to give her family a chance. After this point, things don't work out with her estranged husband, so she no doubt looks back on turning down love with Chandler as one of the great romantic mistakes of her life. If he wasn't the one who got away before, after this, he must take on that status in her mind.
And I can't believe we're not going to be spending the rest of our lives together.
And who knows, if Janice had stayed in this relationship, we might have seen things go very differently for this couple.
Perhaps you would like me to turn like this so you can bunny bump against my back.
By the time they meet up again, Chandler's long fallen out of love with her.
You know all those little annoying things that she did before we fell in love? You know, like her voice and her laugh and her personality? Well, they're all back.
But from Janice's perspective, this is a chance to fix the grievous error she made, letting true love get away. Note that at this point, Chandler doesn't tell her that he's not actually in love with her anymore.
Yemen.
Instead, he lies that he's being transferred overseas.
Yes, I'm being transferred to Yemen.
So she nobly decides to fight for their love.
I'll wait for you. Do you even know how long you're going to be gone?
Well, just until we find an energy source to replace fuel.
Chandler's lie only intensifies Janice's romantic belief that she and Chandler are fated lovers who are being kept apart by external circumstances. Years later, long after Chandler and Janice have stopped being a couple, Monica tells Janice that
You have to go.
Why?
Because Chandler still has feelings for you.
And after Janice has completely moved on yet again and is planning on buying a house with her second husband and family, Chandler tells her himself.
I never stopped loving you.
The show encourages us to laugh at Janice for being deluded enough to believe these lies,
We have this heat between us.
but she has good reason to believe that Chandler has been in love with her for the better part of a decade. Chandler and his partner have both told her this is the case.
Now that you live next door, we can be together every day. Sid and Monica never have to know a thing.
Between Chandler feeding the love narrative in Janice's mind with these unnecessary falsehoods and the insane number of chance meetings that throw the two together, if you're Janice, how could you not think the universe wants you to end up with this man?
Don't say that. Don't tangle the dream and take it away. How can I dump this woman on Valentine's Day?
I don't know. You dumped her on New Year's.
Oh man, in my next life, I'm coming back as a toilet brush.
When he first meets Janice, Chandler is a romantic mess. He's clearly not ready for a committed relationship.
You know, I'm like the bing, bing, bing. You're like the boom, boom, boom. Ow! Oh, my God!
Later on, we see him become a loving, mature partner with Monica. But it wouldn't even occur to Monica to date the Chandler of early seasons.
There's a nuclear holocaust. I'm the last man on Earth. Would you go out with me?
It's so obvious to her that he's far too immature to be boyfriend material.
What am I, not boyfriend material?
No, you're Chandler.
Poor Janice is the one who bears the brunt of Chandler's neurotic, terrible guy behavior.
Either you're seeing somebody behind my back, which would make you the biggest jerk on the planet, or else you're pretending that you're seeing somebody, which just makes you so pathetic I could just start crying right here in the cereal aisle.
Sadly, she's the one who breaks him in so that someone else gets to enjoy the more adult man after he's finally grown up.
Men go out with me, we break up, and then they get married. And later they call me to thank me for teaching them what love is and that I taught them to care and respect women.
Her qualities make her just about the only person early seasons Chandler could have a sort of relationship with.
She was smart, she was pretty, and she honestly cared about me.
She's pushy enough to hold on to him, even when he's hopelessly indecisive.
Goodbye, Janice.
Kiss me.
She's got thick enough skin to overlook his rude, dismissive behavior.
Kill me now.
And she's able to forgive a lot.
If Janice were a guy, she'd be sleeping with somebody else by now.
Janice even has a lot of qualities in common with the woman Chandler eventually finds happiness with. Both are assertive brunettes who own personality quirks others might find annoying. Both are caring and nurturing to a degree that can come off as domineering. While many might classify Monica as a much more desirable partner than Janice, their similarities tell us that, personality-wise, Chandler has a type. So why is it that Monica and Chandler get a happy ending and Janice and Chandler don't? One big reason is the timing. Janice and Chandler are out of sync.
You probably want us to move in together?
It doesn't scare me.
Yeah, well, it scares me. I mean, I'm not even divorced yet.
But the most important reason that Monica is a better partner for Chandler is that she challenges him to be better.
If you give up every time you have a fight with someone, you'd never be with anyone longer than... Oh.
Janice's readiness to put up with his BS leads Chandler to see her as a safe option who will always be there, the person he uses to assuage his fear of ending up alone, essentially his backup.
Janice is my last chance to have somebody.
Based on all that we've seen, Janice and Chandler might really be soulmates. Fate keeps bringing them together and they're surprisingly similar and well-matched, but victims of bad timing. Which leads us to ask, does this mean they should have ended up together? The show gives us a pretty clear answer to this question, and it's no. In season 8, Phoebe is convinced that she's found Monica's soulmate.
And I swear to God, he is her other half.
This handsome British foodie does seem cosmically perfect for Monica.
But God, a house made of cheese. Wouldn't that be incredible?
I'd move in tomorrow.
Oh, come on!
But it doesn't matter, because later, Monica and Chandler agree that they both don't buy into the whole idea of soulmates.
I don't believe in soulmates either.
You don't?
No. I don't think that you and I were destined to end up together. I think that we fell in love and we work hard at our relationship.
In Monica's and Chandler's worldview, love is a choice, something you build and work on, owning the fact that two people who aren't cut from the same cloth can bring out the best in each other.
So they can say that you're high maintenance, but it's okay because I like maintaining you.
So their whole relationship is a rejection of the view that love is some preordained force revealed to us in coded messages from a mysterious universe.
I mean, I believe that certain people are more suited for each other, and I believe in falling in love, but soulmates, I don't think they exist.
Interestingly, Ross and Rachel's romance does participate in that whole soulmate mystique. They have the on-again, off-again obsessive pattern, the problems with timing, and that sense that they're inevitably meant to be together.
Because she's your lobster.
This works for Ross and Rachel because they are the type of people who believe in soulmates, signs, and grand gestures. But while the Ross and Rachel saga is addictive for viewers, it's also sad in that they spend very little of their youth actually together. You might say Chandler and Janice are a dark mirror of the Ross and Rachel story, a counter-argument to romantic fate. They're evidence that sometimes an on-again, off-again relationship is just a bad habit. And all those chance meetings are just coincidences, unless you choose to believe that they mean something more. 30 Rock made the same point through Wesley and Liz. They keep running into each other, but they can't stand each other.
Well, there has to be a reason this keeps happening to us, Liz. I think fate is telling us this is the best we're ever gonna get. We're each other's settling soulmates.
So ultimately, a soulmate is in the eye of the beholder. Your soulmates if you believe it, and choose to share the narrative of true love with somebody, whatever you interpret true love to mean. The main thing that makes the Chandler-Janice romance kind of uneven is that she does believe in soulmates, and maybe even that Chandler is hers.
Because I know that this isn't the end.
But in her final appearance, she rejects Chandler's advances and chooses her husband.
But I love my husband. And I know you love your wife.
Even though she seems to still view Chandler as her soulmate.
Maybe just one last moment of weakness.
Or at least the one who got away. So Janice, too, finally decides that the concept of a soulmate is less important to her than a love that's realized in a committed partnership over time. Even if Janice isn't the one for Chandler, for one reason or another, these two had a big role to play in each other's lives. She was the one who helped a scared, neurotic Chandler to grow up. And if the 10 seasons of Friends are any indication, it's safe to say she'll never be too far away from Chandler and his friends.
You got away from me.
But you found me.
This is Ashley C. Ford. Ashley is a writer and editor whose work has been published in high-profile publications like Slate, Elle, and The Guardian. And she teaches a class on creative personal writing on Skillshare.
What do you do when you don't remember something perfectly? How do you write about that? And can you still write about that? Short answer is yes.
This is why we love Skillshare's service. The classes are taught by amazing, accomplished working professionals in design, photography, social media, business, entrepreneurship, and more. In fact, Skillshare has actually helped us at Screen Prism learn more about animation and design. They offer 20,000 classes about any skill you might want to learn, all for less than $10 a month. Right now, you can get 2 months access to all their classes for free, but that's only if you're one of the first 500 people to click the link in our description below. It's a great deal, so hurry up and don't miss out.